So, what if three really simple ideas could be the foundation for an entire way of life? Today, we're diving into the core principles of Sikhism, a faith that's built on a message that is remarkably clear and, honestly, pretty powerful. We're going to unpack it all together. Here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with a quick intro. Then, we'll look at the three pillars that hold up the whole faith: a belief in one God, a radical commitment to equality, and a life built around service. Then at the end, we'll pull it all together and see how these pillars aren't really separate at all, but part of one single elegant idea. All right, first up, let's get a quick lay of the land with an introduction to the foundations of Sikhism. So where did all this begin? Well, Sikhism has its roots in the Punjab region of India, way back in the 15th century. It's a faith built on just a few core interconnected ideas that we're about to jump into right now. Okay, let's get to that first pillar. This is the absolute starting point for everything in Sikhism, the belief in one God. Seriously, this one concept is the bedrock for everything else we're going to talk about. And this quote, wow, it comes straight from the Guru Granth Sahib, which is the holy scripture of Sikhism. And it's not just a book. For Sikhs, it's considered a living guru. Just notice how direct that is. There is one God. His name is truth. It's such a clear, unambiguous starting point. You know, there's a word for this belief in a single, universal God for all of creation. It's called monotheism. And this simple, powerful idea has a profound consequence, which, you guessed it, brings us right to our next pillar. So let's just follow that logic for a second. If there's only one creator for everyone, what does that say about all of us? Well, the logical next step and the second pillar of Sikhism is the principle of equality. And let me be clear, this is not just some nice idea or a friendly suggestion. No way. The equality of all humankind is an absolutely core, non-negotiable belief. This principle is literally woven into the fabric of Sikhism, and the logic is really simple. If one God created everyone, then everyone is equal in the eyes of that creator. It doesn't matter what your caste, creed, gender, or social status is. This is why, for example, men and women both lead prayers, and why everyone shares a communal meal sitting together on the floor. It's equality in action. And that brings us to our third pillar, the path of service. You could say this is where the rubber meets the road. It's where belief stops being just an idea in your head and becomes something you actually do. It's about taking the principles of one God and equality and making them real. This is exactly how faith becomes a lived experience. It's expressed through what's called seva, which means selfless service. You can think of it as the engine that turns the belief in one God and the equality of all people into direct, positive action out in the world. And we're not talking about an optional extra here, something you do if you have some spare time. This is considered a fundamental duty. The thinking is, since the divine is present in all of creation, then serving humanity is one of the highest ways you can connect with and honor that creator. Okay, so we've got our three pillars. Now, let's take a step back and see how they lock together to create one single unified message. This is where it gets really cool. I mean, the logical flow here is just so elegant, isn't it? It all kicks off with the belief in one God. From that single belief comes the principle that everyone is equal. And then that principle is expressed through the act of service. See? Each step flows directly and naturally right from the one before it. So, at the end of the day, when you boil it all down, this is the core message. Three words that build on each other to create a really profound spiritual foundation. One God, equality, service. It's a simple but incredibly powerful formula for a meaningful life. And that really brings us to our final thought. I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. What would our communities look like today if these three principles, a belief in a shared humanity, a deep commitment to radical equality, and a dedication to selfless service, were put into practice more widely? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.